This is AV SuperFriends Perspectives, a collection of interviews, discussions, and presentations from conferences, trade shows, and events that just don't fit either of the other two shows. Some are long, some are short, but they'll all have valuable insights, useful information, or just good conversation with thought leaders and subject matter experts. And now, the AV SuperFriends. All right, so we're here at Northwest Met with Jon Loney from Whitman College and Doug McCartney from Oakland University in beautiful downtown Oakland, California. I'm kidding. In where are you? Dearborn, Michigan?
Rochester,
Michigan. Sorry. Get that boom right in there on your mouth.
Bend it in there.
All right.
Bend that right like a countryman.
There you go.
There you are. All right.
Britney Spears. That's the look we're going.
I love her.
Well, these mics pick up everything in the room, so it's you're hearing.
Actually, I love Britney Spaniels, but that's another story.
It's an alternate pop star. So, Doug, you were just fated as kind of the intro to the Hall of Fame last night for Northwest Met.
Yes,
as part of which you were given a brand new car. Congratulations!
Thank you. I can't wait to drive it back to Michigan. Yeah.
Take this as a carry-on.
It'll be one car without rust.
There you
go. For one winter anyway.
At best.
Yeah.
So we were just talking a few minutes ago. If you were going to share some words of wisdom with some of these folks here or other folks kind of getting into educational technology, where would you start?
I would say focus on what's next. Don't focus on what you're doing today. Focus on what you're going to be doing tomorrow. Plan again. Always look to the future. Not only for the future for the equipment, the technology, the systems, but also the people. Because I believe you build from the ground up and you develop people and let them off and do their thing. And I've been proud to say that I did a pretty good job of that at Portland State University. And then I'm seeing the payback now a little bit at Oakland University now. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time in this career. I started out in 1985 with a school in North Dakota after I graduated from the University of Toledo. And for me, it's all about evolution. And you have to be accepting change and liking change and willing to adjust to change. And if you're resistant to change, this is not a good field for you. Definitely, especially over the last 2 years.
You're not still doing VGA 5-wire and basic analog systems?
There are those who are trying, but I won't allow
it's
that.
It's readily available.
So,
that's true. If you need VGA, you can get that no delay on anything right
exactly.
now.
But for me, it's all about this is a profession of evolution and of change, and whether it's staffing issues or equipment issues or structure and higher education issues, you have to continually be evolving and thinking about what's next. Mm-hmm. And in my career, that's something I learned. There are times I wasn't up to that. I was like, I don't want anything ever to change. I want it to be this way forever. But forever is not possible anymore.
Yeah. And that's like that Buddhist philosophy. The more you expect things to just stay that same and resist that change, the more upset you're going to end up being in the long run, the more strife you're going to have. Like just like give into that and like evolve, adapt, move on, and like let's look forward, right? And so,
and because I've always been a student of higher education and loved higher education, colleges, universities in general, I love it when I see schools evolve and change and get new buildings with new infrastructure and new teaching techniques for faculty, and hearing about, your LMS is changing. Well, good for you. And, it's all about that whole scope of technology that, you think about some of the people, and I've been lucky enough, I'm around Greenfield Village Henry Ford Museum. Mm-hmm. And Henry Ford is one of the innovators of change, and Edison, and they are showcased at Greenfield Village. I mean, that was Americana brought on by Henry Ford, like the vision to change and adapt and kind of move forward. And, I think we need to keep doing that. The great minds of the last 150 years, Thomas Edison, Walt Disney. We just have to keep evolving and then find that connection. I mean, for some people, it's George Lucas. Mm-hmm. And, I've heard more Star Wars references at this conference than I did in previous conferences, and that's because we found something as a generation or couple generations to hold on to and find value in. We just came from a session where Star Trek kind of got talked about quite a bit, and that's for me. And I grew up as a small kid watching Spock and Captain Kirk, and now that's still part of my life 50 plus years later, and I love that.
Excellent.
Yep.
So, John, you hosted Northwest Met a number of years ago. You were going to host. We spoke about doing sessions there, and then, of course, some reason we didn't do that in 2019. How's this conference compare to what should have happened last year, 2 years ago, that sort of thing? Is there a different feel, or are we like, hey, nuts, we're right back where we were. We picked up the slack, and we didn't miss a beat, and we just took 2 years off?
I think it's a little bit in between. 2020 in Walla Walla was going to be a great conference. We had a lot of fun lined up. We had some really great sponsors. It has evolved quite a bit from the first time I hosted, which was in 2015, kind of 2008. I did that with David Walk at the community college, and then at Whitman I did it in 2015. And it was around that time, Walla Walla, Helena, where we really kind of started bringing in the vendors and the sponsors and making it more inclusive with all of them, while of course at the same time letting them foot most of the bill. So I think that this conference has just taken that to the next level. Okay. There's more vendors here than we've ever had. The sessions are great. The venue, you can't ask for a better spot than this.
Venue.
Yeah, I mean, this is gorgeous. So I've been really pleased with it, and there was a little bit of a concern after 2 years of being online and having to cancel at the last second in 2020, that is this organization going to continue to strive what I was really worried about is building new members, because clearly throughout the last couple of years a lot of people have changed roles, and how do we reach those new people and get them involved in this conference? And I think Raul and all the coordinators here brought in, I think there's at least half the people here are first timers, and so it's really encouraging, and I hope that we can continue to build, and I'm hoping maybe here in a couple of years to look back into bringing it into Walla Walla again. And
yeah, after the lull we've had with conferences and getting together, it's been a slow turnaround. I mean, we've had.
So to be fair, I saw both you guys last fall in
Yes,
Pittsburgh.
you did. And that was
the first one.
That was the first one of anything for a long time.
Yeah.
And then because in our build up, it's always like I'll go to CCUMC or I'll go to InfoCom. That 2 years of CCUMC is more than 2 years of CCUMC online. That's as a former president and a former organizer of those conferences, I can tell you, if they did a third one, I could see it exploding, and that's it. So I think I'm just so happy that Northwest Met is here and in person, and the evolution of vendors, more vendors. I can remember when one time in early Northwest Met history for me, like 2001 or 2002, up in Vancouver Island, up in BC, we had one vendor. It was Panasonic. That's it.
Yeah. Was it Andy still?
Yeah, no. it was Andy's grandfather.
Yeah.
Andy Dick's grandfather.
Yeah, and then at Flathead Lake, I don't know how many years ago that was. Probably 7-8 years ago. We had like two, maybe three.
So it's been an evolution with vendors, and the vendors, I think, they find a lot of value in this. They do. To engage with us, to show us their products. I mean, as soon as I leave here, I'm going to go look at the Logitech booth, because there are some things I need to see. We are not Logitech, but you guys mentioned whiteboard cameras. What's a whiteboard camera? They have one. I want to go take a look at it.
Exactly.
So, because that's the type of thing this conference is about. One other thing real quickly is that right now in Michigan, I don't have this. I don't have a Northwest Met. And
I hope it wouldn't be called Northwest Met.
No. We originally were the Northwest as one time.
That's true. Yeah.
But I'm talking to one of our good colleagues. We all know Jim Spencer at Notre Dame. We're talking about trying to build an Indiana, Ohio, Michigan type thing. And what's interesting is that in late 2019, I hosted a Crestron Roundtable event where we had 63 attendees from schools in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana, and we were going to take this to the next level and get together, create a Northwest Met, and then the world blew up. Yeah. And so what we're going to do now is when we go back, Jim and I are going to put our heads together, and we're going to say, what can we do? What can we become that's regional, that will support the area, much like Northwest Met?
Great Lakes Met.
So we've got 30 seconds here or so. We're going to see if we can keep these tight. So from each of you, if you had to give like one word of advice to schools who are trying to figure out what's their hybrid strategy, what's their future strategy, how do we plan for that? What's your short version?
My short version would be use your network. I mean, it's hard to do this all on your own, and you have people out there and vendors and colleagues that do this every day, and why not share ideas?
I would say one size does not fit all. realize what your campus capabilities are. I wish I would have done a little bit better job of that for my university, realizing that our networking in our buildings and our classrooms wasn't to the level that we went with. So, maybe we should have gone with a different solution in our classrooms. But it's a slow rollout. We are stuck in the middle of supply chain issues with several of our vendors. Now, we weren't 6 months ago, but we are now. And they told us it was coming, and it came. So, be open to change. Be willing to look at what others are doing in your area, and reach out. Don't think you're doing this all by yourself. There are colleagues throughout this profession of instructional media, instructional technology, who are there to share and help you. Realize that.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think higher ed is unique in that vertical that while I guess you might say we're technically in competition with one another, we're all happy to share and
Absolutely.
ask questions. And, I've made mistakes and be like, tell Marc, don't ever do this again. And he'll be like, oh my God, don't do that. So, but then at the same time, I can reach out to you guys and get good ideas on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and I think we're all willing to share that. I mean, you see that here at the sessions where someone wants to stand up and say, here's what we did, here's what worked, here's what didn't. Anyone have any, I don't know how to solve this. What are you guys doing? So I really like that within our vertical. So
yeah, I think that's what makes specifically this conference so fantastic is it is. We had a video last night at Doug's big induction, and it was an old video that was made many years ago, and it was all about how Northwest Met is like a family, and it really is. And we like to collaborate and share ideas and learn from each other and educate each other.
And how'd you phrase it? It's like a family, but a family reunion of people you actually like.
You want to see?
Yes, you love your family when you're at Northwest Met, and that's exactly what it is. You got great cousins, you have some aunts and uncles who drink a little too much, but other than that, though, it's a grand time with grand people who you can't wait. And that's why knowing where conferences are coming in advance is a really important thing. Knowing that there is Helena next year, knowing that there's a good possibility of Walla Walla in the near future, and then what's next after that. And I think organizations like all of them, Infocom, CCUMC, they owe it to us to tell us in advance where our conferences are going to be so we can plan our lives around that and our finances, because university's not going to pay for everything, and so your supplemental, you got to come have that out of pocket. And so what's going on? What's the cool stuff? What are the ball games that are going on right around that time that I can check out? All that kind of stuff. So we got to evolve to sharing a little bit more, I think, when it comes to conferencing and what's out there.
Awesome. Well, guys, glad to have you guys on. If people want to get a hold of you, is there a good way to contact both you guys? John?
Email for me, it's just loneyjs@whitman.edu.
And for me, it's D McCartney, DMCCARTNEY @oakland.edu. Don't confuse me with Paul. Many do, but I'm Doug, not Paul McCartney.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming in, having a little conversation with us, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the floor here and have some more in-depth conversation with the family.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Well, that wraps up another episode of AV SuperFriends Perspectives. If you have a perspective to share, you can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.